Brooklyn is dealing with a bunch of hate crimes, especially against the LGBT community and specifically against transgendered individuals. But David Jimenez is actually straight, and he was a victim of an anti-gay hate crime. Now, he says that he had walked some friends over to a cab, and then he and his dog were walking back to his apartment in Brooklyn, and while he was doing that, all of a sudden someone started screaming at him. So David Jimenez tells the police that someone started screaming, "Hey, you faggot." I turned around and gave him a look like, what the hell? And then next thing I know, the guy starts punching me in the face. So he got beaten up really, really badly. Like, his entire face was just completely bruised. I mean, look at that. It's terrible that he had to go through something like that. And again, he's not gay. He's totally straight. We don't know why this guy attacked him or why he thought this David Jimenez was gay. But what the cops told me, and this is what he told to the press, what the cops told me was that night when I was in the ambulance, that guy was at a funeral and he was very upset. I'm sorry for him, but that is no reason to attack someone like this.
See, that's amazing to me. He must be such a good guy. Like, I wouldn't care what he was at and why he was upset. His motivations would be entirely irrelevant to me. I'd be thinking about vengeance the whole time. This guy's such a good guy that he's like, oh, I feel bad about the funeral and stuff, but he shouldn't have rearranged my face. Of course, he shouldn't have done that.
His nose was broken in 4 places.
Oh, man.
That's how badly he got beaten up. And by the way, I don't know what's happening with New York City, but right now there is, like I said, a huge increase in anti-gay hate crimes. In fact, it's an expected 70% increase in anti-gay violence.
So that's crazy. A gay couple was attacked in Chelsea, of all places, which is obviously very gay-friendly if you know anything about New York. And they got attacked coming back from a movie. A couple got attacked outside of Madison Square Garden coming out of a Knicks game. There was a popular gay bar, Pieces. Somebody got assaulted outside of that. And then there was anti-gay police brutality in Brooklyn at one point. So you're right. I don't know why this is happening at this time in New York City, of all places. But it's a disturbing trend, obviously. And look, we don't know for a fact that this is a hate crime because the guy could have been yelling that as just general insults, right? But it doesn't look good. And the guy's disturbed either way and should serve a long time.
So let me jump in with that. I mean, does it even matter if it's a hate crime or not? The guy assaulted him and beat him up. You know, like, I don't really understand why it's important to make that distinction. You probably get tougher, sentences as a result of it being a hate crime.
Yeah, look, I have mixed views on hate crime, and I get a lot of, ironically, or I don't know if it's ironic or appropriate, I get a lot of hate for this, but I'm not a big believer in hate crimes. Not to say that they don't happen, they definitely happen. And in fact, this is an excellent case of, like, people are like, oh, that doesn't happen anymore. Bullshit, it doesn't happen. It totally happens. But I believe that if you rearrange somebody's face like this and do massive assault, you should get a really long sentence for doing that, right? And I think when you add extra time on top for what you said during the assault, then it becomes a bit of a First Amendment issue. And I know people say, oh, that's theoretical. And a very good argument can be made that there's a lot of extenuating circumstances and mitigating circumstances in judging different crimes and in sentencing. So this is an aggravating circumstance. It's a very good argument. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, I really don't believe it in other contexts either. So for example, when they do the argument of something along the lines of, oh, I came into the house and my wife was having an affair, so in a fit of rage, I killed him, right? I killed the guy and I killed my wife, right? Well, they say, that's a different category, so you're going to get less time for murder. I think that's bullshit.
I think that's bullshit as well. You murdered a guy. You have to control yourself regardless of what your wife is doing.
Oh, but she was having sex. I don't give a shit what she was doing. You don't have the right to execute them. So, but in the law, that's a mitigating circumstance. I don't think that's mitigating at all. It's in fact a totally different crime than just than murder, right? And so to me, your motivations, whether it's a hate crime or other kinds, is irrelevant. Not irrelevant, that's too harsh. Like, if you didn't mean it and it was out of negligence, then I think it is relevant, right? But if you meant it, I don't give a shit what you meant it for. Look, we're liberals in the sense that we don't believe in the death penalty, and we think that you should, do some, like, there's no need in gratuitous punishment or the solitary confinement and all that nonsense. But I think you and I both think that you should get really harsh sentences for these actual assaults, of these violent acts, etc.
Yeah, that guy is dangerous. If you can't control your rage like that or your emotions like that, and then you go around beating up innocent individuals, then yes, you definitely deserve a really strict sentence and some real mental health help, because you can't control yourself, and
Right.
that's really scary.